He wants fruit and barley. If he doesn't get fruit and barley, he'll leave.
If everyone's fruit barley, he'll have a tantrum. Like the child that he is.
Like the massive child that he is. Chippy chips, jam sandwiches, and the smoothest of brains. Just... Hello there, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Football Manager Therapy. I am your host, Rich Owens, and joining me this week, it's a two-man show this week. It feels like we don't do this very often, if ever, because Dee, it's just me and you this week, pal.
It's just us, man.
It's just us.
It hasn't been just us since I joined.
It's been a hot minute.
Episode.
It's been a hot minute, hasn't it? Now, I will actually, I'm going to correct us there, because Dee, there is no such thing as just us. No such thing at all. No such thing at all. We contain multitudes. And I think this is the perfect opportunity for us to explore them together. How are you, man? Are you well?
I'm actually doing really good, thank you. I've had a lovely week. Back to work, much as yourself. And yeah, just sort of, back into the swing of things. Done some fun stuff on stream, and it's been good. I can safely say this week has been really, really lovely. How about yours, man?
Much the same, if I'm honest with you, pal. Yeah, just a lovely old week. So back to work, because, those of us that work in that education sector, we're back at it this week. Solidarity to all of our educational brethren out there. But yeah, back amongst it. But yeah, things have been nice. It's been a lovely weekend, nice and chilled. And now Sunday night, recording a podcast with one of my good podcast Buderinos. So what better way to spend an evening? That's my question.
Great.
There isn't one. You can't. This is as good as it gets.
This is peak.
Yeah. Sorry, everyone else that isn't experiencing this firsthand. Take our word for it. It's all right. It's all right.
We do miss you, Jeb and Steak, as well, just as a heads
we
up.
do.
I don't think that we're like... it's like this,
yeah, they're
we're
gone.
Happy now.
Yes.
Finally, we can be ourselves. No, we miss them massively.
Of course we do.
They're both... I think Jeb's away working at the moment, and Stakey's just having a bit of a recovery. He's had a busy week, so much love to him. Much love to both of them. We'll see them next time.
Jeb's in his element. Jeb is in a big hall somewhere with a lot of his pals from Insomnia. So it's almost like he's having a little Insomnia reunion this weekend, which is lovely for him. So I've seen lots of pictures of him looking very important, and rightly so, because he is a very, very important man.
I've seen one video which he said, just for me, and it was playing the Forbidden Song through massive speakers in the hall. To which all I had to say was, why are you like this? Why must you do this to me?
Why do you do the things that you do? Awful Matt. He's not awful at all. He's
great.
He's a good egg, isn't he? We like our Jeb. Considering it's just the two of us, though, Dee, I thought we should do something that... I had a little think about it earlier. We haven't actually done for quite a long time on the podcast. Shall we talk about Football Manager, but more specifically, our current experiences with Football Manager?
Ooh, yeah, I think that could be a fun discussion, because you're coming to the end of one thing, whereas I'm right at the beginning of something. So we've got a fun little
nice little segue
thing
there.
Going on there. Yeah.
Nice little thing. Nice little bit of contrast. Little bit of contrast. Isn't it lovely? I think we should talk about the fun new thing first. I think that feels like the nice thing to do, doesn't it? Should we
go on then?
You, D-Boy Plays, if that is your real name, which I'm pretty sure it is. You have showed me your driver's license.
Yep.
You've got a brand new save on that there Twitch that you started not that long ago. Little town in Devon, Holsworthy.
Yeah.
I've heard rumours that it exists, and there may be a football club involved in some capacity.
Yeah, the rumours are true. Are true. They do in real life have a team. I want to say, further context for the listener, when I was a teenager, I lived in Devon. We moved down there to be nearer to grandparents and stuff. And then, as you know, as one gets older, one moves away from home, and then everybody kind of dispersed and stuff. But I lived in a little town in Devon called Holsworthy, which is a cute little place. I mean, it trapped in the 70s. You know, even now, I mean, I actually played a gig just outside Holsworthy. I think it must have been like this time last year, and nothing had changed. Nothing had changed. And even when I was living there, I was like, oh, everything looks a bit worn out in a sort of, you know, sort of nice, quaint sort of way. But in the same time, lick of paint wouldn't hurt, you know, but it's, yeah, still the same. But yeah, that's where I used to live. And they do have a team in real life. When I played for them as a teenager, they were called Holsworthy Town. But they do exist in the Dan FM database that goes down to tier 10 or 20 or whatever he's got it going down to now. So I did have a bit of a muck around with that, and we have got a brand new save over on Twitch.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, we're doing a little community save, little create a club sort of thing, and all the players are members of chat, members of community, and yeah, we've got spinning wheels, we've got nonsense, we've got currently you know, the Walter C. Parsons Cup in our trophy cabinet. You'll never sing that. And the Southwest Peninsula Premier League West something or other division trophy as well, which is nice.
That is its real name as
great.
well. That's word for word.
Yeah.
It's a massive trophy.
Yeah. Well, the trophy's really small, but the engraving, it like spirals around the trophy. It's something to see, really is. But yeah, doing a little create club thing, just something a bit different, because I've done the big journeyman we did on the Med, which was 30 odd seasons, and we managed everywhere and won loads of stuff. I did the one club thing recently with Aarhus from L. I did a retro save with the Baggies. I was like, well, there's not really much else for me to do here other than another retro save in the 94-95 or just start another normal save. So I thought I'll do something that's, yeah, a little bit community driven, gets chat involved, gets us all hanging out a bit more, and it gives me a reason to shout at people when they do something wrong. You know, be like, Craig, what are you doing? You know,
Craig. It is lovely though. It feels like it was a very, very good move for yourself, because I think it plays to all of your strengths as a streamer. You know, you have a lovely community, you have a lovely audience of people that hang out and watch you. I'm very lucky to share some of that, which is ever so nice. But I think it makes sense. It feels like a very, very D save, and I mean that in a very, very positive way. You know, because you say you did it on the Med, 30 seasons, Aarhus, you've done retro, and as you say, if you're going to stick with carrying on down the Football Manager route, there's not really a huge amount else that you can do long term. You know, we've seen some people this time of year, they start to do, you know, towards the end of the season, they'll do these clubs got relegated. Can I keep them in the league? But it's always like a one season thing. It's never like a long term save idea. So create your own club. I mean, it wasn't that, you know, we had our friend of the pod, Salty B, with his Wonder Kids United from the start of FM24. But as I say, you've got a lot going on. Like, you've got the spinning wheels, and everyone loves a spinning wheel. I bloody love a spinning wheel.
That's so good.
It just adds this tension. Genuine tension to what would otherwise be somebody just clicking through a squad screen. So was that something that when you were coming up with the concept of Holsworthy and coming up with the concept of this community stream, was that were you looking for an angle, you looking for a bit of a hook, or was it just something that made sense to you in terms of those redeems and that player progression?
Well, it was, I mean, obviously, it is definitely worth mentioning that I'm not the only member of the community to do saves like this. Like you just said, Salty had a really good save that he did for the first, year of FM24 being out. Obviously, it's worth saying that now because we're a little bit longer now, right? But he was doing Wonder Kid United, and that was wicked. And I really enjoyed watching that save, and he did such a good job at managing it. And I think Stuart Armstrong, I think he did one as well, which was similar. Which I think it might have been his subscribers that were the team and things like that. But same sort of premise. And then the Mad Scientist, obviously, every time he brought out a retro save, he would do his Become a Club Owner save, which in that essentially you would pick a team that you are the club owner of, air quotes, and you would buy them players or put cash into them. And again, very community driven saves. And I always wanted to do a save with Holsworthy just because once I found them on the tier 10, I was like, oh, that would be fun because I used to play for them. So it could be a fun way to sort of try and tie in some sort of story with that. And then obviously, again, from influence of people like Salty, Mad, I was like, if I take my favourite things about what Salty did, which is obviously hugely community driven, you get, wonderful engagement from, the great FM community that we have. You get to see all the regular faces, and it's wonderful spending time with them all anyway. The fun things from Mad Save were the things like the wheel spins. He would have wheel spins for how much money you could add to your team, because in the become a club owner save, you'd get a youth player, you get your son in the game. He would add a new player. So I always had like little Deebs playing for whatever team I was at. So, and you could boost current ability, potential ability with that. So I was like, I love the wheel spinning on that save. What if I take my favorite elements from both, smush them together, start in tier 10, and just long it out, basically, and then decided, well, instead of doing Holsworthy Town, why don't we do a bit of a rebrand, add a little bit of a story to the save, make it seem like, the real Holsworthy, after a poor season, were forced to close their doors, but local businessmen bought the club and invested X amount of money and decided to use the year 11s from the local community college, which I went to in real life, which was you lot. And then, cool, that's all of the people from that year. And every year, the year 11s come and play for the club. And that's just all the people that are the youth intake, which, again, are the people that sign up through chat. So it just sort of gives it a bit of a story, gets chat involved. Like you say, who doesn't love a wheel spin? So much tension. I think, notably, I think the last stream I did of this, I think we had 3 or 4 plus 10s on the boost and attribute thing, which was, you've never been seen before, Rich. It's usually a +1 or a +2, but plus 10, remarkable. And then the previous stream, I think everybody was only getting +1s on respins, and it was just everybody just getting angry at the wheel. Kev, beloved Kev, United City FM, he's hanging out in chat, and the thing I love about Kev with these, he did it with Salty, and he's done it with this one as well. He adopts a completely new persona. Obviously, Kev is one of the kindest and most wonderful human beings that any of us have ever spent time with. And if you spend time in his stream, you know how great he is anyway, but he definitely plays into the angle of, oh, I'm a big meanie, and I'm gonna get really cross. And he was, he's hurling Kev abuse, as I'll call it, because he's not saying anything rude, but he's calling it a poopy head or a big meanie and things like that. And it's great. It's great when you get people sort of playing with the story as well, and sort of giving their players a character as well. So it was lots of fun this last week.
Absolutely. Back post Kev. People will remember.
Kev.
Back post
so
Kev.
good.
He's an angry man. He shouts at the wheel when people are spinning it, just try and make the wheel behave itself, and it works. He's done it for me a couple of times, and I appreciate it enormously. It's lovely, and it's really nice to see people just leaning into that aspect of it as well, because it gives you that opportunity, because we both enjoy a little bit of role play behind the scenes. You roll dice on a regular basis. I
certainly do.
But I've got arthritis now. My dice, it's more of a throw than a roll now, and it just gets me back.
It's too far away to read once you've thrown it.
Exactly.
Like, probably a 9. I don't know.
I've gone for distance. It's probably 20. It feels like a 20. Definitely feels like. No, don't check. Come back. Sit down. Don't take my word for it.
Just D&D based on vibes alone.
Exactly. It's 20. I'd roll for it.
17.
Yeah. Exactly that. And it gives our people the opportunity to do Kev being the prime example. Lovely Kev. Mean, horrible. Wide target forward on occasion, Kev. Big back post, Kev.
The only time anyone in FM has used the role wide target forward.
I think the only other person I can know that's ever done it was our Jeb. I think Jeb, a long time ago, I'm sure Jeb had a system involving, I think it was in protest of the popular strikerless fad. I say fad,
Right.
I mean it. Yeah, but when people suddenly realised that strikerless formations were very overpowered, I think that was his no, wide target forwards. That's the solution. Everyone's massive, which I'm really lean into. But it's great. Now, I've dabbled occasionally, and we're going back a fair few FMs now, with in-game editing. I think just for funsies, I gave everybody at Worcester City very high PA and CA, just to see what would happen.
Sure.
And then it took my laptop 15 minutes to simulate one game. I mean, 137-0. And I went, oh, I've spent 4 hours setting this up. I think I've had my fill. I am sated.
I've completed it. Well done, me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, give everybody the ability of the world's best footballers, put them in non-league football, and they win. What are the chances? High. Astronomically high.
Too high.
Is that so? I mean, season 1, as I say, you won a very long-named trophy. Did you do an invincible season in the league, season 1?
Yeah, we did, yeah.
Weird that. Yeah, what are the chances?
It's very weird.
Yeah. Again, quite
What are
high.
the chances with people boosting their attributes and boosting their current and potential ability? I think the worst player in the squad had, at that level, like it's like 34, but at that level, that's like good. And then you've got people like Benny Cargi from the community, or FM Tommy and Craig, who are just already in triple digits for current ability. Like on Tommy's scout report, like that you get from him, it already says Premier League quality. And it's just like, well, what? This is just ridiculous. We've got the best right back in the game. This is stupid, but it's tremendous fun, and it's all for entertainment.
Of course it is, and people buy. That's the thing. People buy in. You know, I think there was a type people were creating. There was a custom database, I think, last year, where they did the Man City 115 charges, all went through, and they got put into League 2, and all the big name players left. It was just youth academy players. How hard's that going to be? No, really easy, because the youth academy players are 10 times as good as their next closest comparison in League 2. So weirdly, they just fly back up the leagues. They're back in the Premier League within 3 seasons, and they've still got loads of money. So nothing changes.
Yeah.
And you watch it, well, of course they're going to win everything. Of course they are. It's like, can this plucky Man City team of youngsters scrape their way through League 2? Yes, they can. Oh, you've won 16-0 again. What are the chances? You've not conceded a goal in a full calendar year. Of course. You're like,
Yeah.
Is anybody really that fussed? Whereas all it takes is seeing your name on the screen and you're 7-0 up. You're like, we want 10. We want 10. And we want that consistently every single week. We're playing against clubs that their name is Street. This is it. It's just Street.
Yeah.
Road. There you go. Who have we got in Europe? Cul-de-sac. Yeah. Like, who cares? Like, bypass. Like, it's fine. Like, kill them, murder them.
Yeah.
Murder. You get so invested, and you just want to see 20-0 matches, because it's you, or you're living vicariously through that little pile of pixels on the screen. Like, it's lovely. It's really nice.
It's loads of fun. I mean, even like first season, so the main strike force was made up of Benny Cargi, Rocket Dan, who's I know hangs out in both of our chats, and Holsworthy, fellow streamer, and I think between the 3 of them, they must have scored something like 80 or 90 goals and almost as many assists. Which is obviously wicked, because they just score loads of goals and it helps them out loads. But this season, I think we're 11 games into the league, Benny has 44 goal involvements after 11 league games at tier 9. And we're in round 2 of the FA Cup. Which is so dumb. We beat Bradford 2-1, and we've got Wickham coming up, which I feel like surely that's where it ends, right? We're playing a League One side. It's going to fall apart. Fine, good. Well, we had a bit of fun. We made a bit of money. If we somehow make it to the third round and we draw a Premier League team, it's quids in time, and that would be lovely. I'd love that. But I mean, what a stupid but brilliant save to do, because it's just
absolutely.
You just get an overpowered team, and who doesn't want to see that win all the time?
Exactly. Who doesn't want to see that overpowered team that you might feature in just smash everybody? Because again, you're living vicariously through somebody else's, but it's brilliant fun, and I think that's the crux of it, is that it is brilliant fun. My only gripe with it, and it's going to seem like a very petty thing, actually 2 gripes, double gripe. Firstly, I find it very frustrating that because of our slightly conflicting work schedules, I don't get to spend as much time in your streams of an afternoon as I would like to. Meaning that every time I come in, like, right, let's get these attributes boosted. Let's get this. Let's turn my little central midfielder. Let's turn him into the best there ever was. I've run out of channel points, and I'm furious about it. Can you do essentially what is it? Wolfpack. They did the. Are you aware of the concept of Wolfpack?
Yes. Oh, I'm very aware of the concept.
Of course you are, and that's why we're friends. They did the. If you don't know, they did a silent album on Spotify, and they just asked people to play it on a loop over and over again, and then they used the money they made from Spotify to then fund free tours for the fans. So if you could just start streaming privately for me. If you can go live every night at about 11 p.m. through to 7 a.m. and then I can and then I can.
I'll turn all redeems off, but I'll just have a stream go throughout the night that people can just leave on, download one of those like auto Twitch channel point redeemer things, and just people can rack up some cash.
This is exactly it, and that's what the people want. So that's especially what I want, because goodness gracious me, I'm feeling. Oh yeah, I've got a player, and his passing and his vision are okay, and his long shots aren't. But for that standard of football, a bit of work rate in there, all the things that I like for a central midfielder, a bit of stamina, and then you've literally got Premier League quality players playing at right back. I'm come on now.
It's great. It's really funny.
I want to be the best, and I'm not scoring enough goals. But you are playing me as a ball-winning midfielder when I'm playing. Any goals? Well, there you go.
Haven't scored any goals yet.
Haven't scored any goals. There you go. So
I've changed your role now. You're a deep line playmaker.
There we go.
You're a deep line playmaker, and occasionally a Metzala if I'm feeling particularly spicy. Because I do want you to score.
I've got the stamina.
I feel like you're the only team player who hasn't
scored.
Just
me. I'm the only. You know what? It would be very on brand if that was the case. Yeah.
It'd be great. It'd be so funny.
I'm genuinely excited. I mean, we all know there is a big old delay now till the next instalment of Football Manager, and I think a lot of longer term saves have come to an end recently, and I think a lot of people are exploring new avenues in terms of content that would traditionally make FM content, which is brilliant, and I'm all for it. But it's also really, really nice that there is something like Holsworthy that is going on in the background, and it's something that I am as invested in as if it was my save. It feels because it's not just because it's you and it's yours, but it's such a lovely idea and it's such a lovely concept and it's being done so well. I want to see the progression. I'm excited for the progression. I'm excited to see what can happen because there is time. There is nothing but time on our hands at the moment in terms of Football Manager. So sky's the limit. I mean, we watched our boy Callum winning his Champions League with Slough a couple of weeks back, and
so happy for
so
him.
Lovely. But you go, it's the culmination of a lot of hard work, but it's also just really, really fun to watch. Because again, you're invested in those players, you're invested in that journey, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with Holsworthy Albion over the next few weeks, months, and we'll see where we are.
We'll have it wrapped up by May, probably.
Yeah, all done by May. We just won the Champions League.
Just won it all.
Everyone's just got 20s for everything. It's mad. Even long throws.
It's quite funny because obviously you accrue your channel points from hanging out in people's Twitches and watching them stuff. And I sort of did quiz a few people. So I was like, how many channel points have you got? Sassmas, creator of beautiful skin that we all use, has something like 480,000 channel points. So he could max out every attribute on his player, even through bad rolls on the wheel spin, and then make another player and do it all again.
He really could.
I could have double sass.
Yeah, double sass.
A delight.
Wouldn't it though? Son, little sassy in the game.
Little sassies.
When he retires, he's just got another one waiting in the reserves. Yeah, 20s across the board. In all the
attributes. Like the Doctor, it just regenerates.
Very similarly, yes. And which it goes to show, if you can regenerate as Peter Capaldi, always regenerate as Peter Capaldi. It's important. So I don't watch much Doctor Who, but I know that is a possibility, and I'm all for it. I'm in.
He has been in it. Yes, you are.
He has been
correct.
in it. Yes, he has been on the television playing that role. Yes, look at me go. Astute.
Yeah.
I'm a man of the people. Pop culture. That's my thing. Hook me up.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just like me last week. I know what's popular. Ish.
Yeah. Ish. I've got a rough idea. People love bloody GoBots and fiendish feet yogurts. Oh, that's what the kids are into these days.
Yeah, Tamagotchis and Pogs, they're all cool, right, still?
My kids have got a modern day Tamagotchi and they love it. They love it more than our real pet.
What's the modern day Tamagotchi?
So it's I can't remember what it's downstairs in my house and it makes an awful noise. But instead of just
cat, is it? It's
just
the cat.
We've just glued some buttons to the cat. It's brilliant. When the alarm goes off, you have to feed it. No, it's I can't remember the name of the technology, but it's essentially it's got a little. You open the box up. It looks like it's like a engagement ring box. You open the box, and it's got a little. And for the audio listeners, I'm flapping my hand around really quickly like a hummingbird, and it's got lights on the end of it, and it kind of animates it with the lights on the end of the very very fast flappity. And you tap it, and it does things, and it's bonkers. I'm like, this is when I was a boy. When I was your age, our virtual pets didn't know what happened. I had one just died all the time because I think it was broken. You just couldn't feed it, so you just come to life, live for a day, perish, and then it start all again the next day. What a horrible life! It's like an episode of Black Mirror. Somebody was trapped inside
in a field.
In a field,
just in a field. Poor little guy, all left all his own. No idea.
I hope he's okay now.
I hope someone took him in and looked after him.
Yeah. Is he chipped? He's all chips. That's all he is.
He is a circuit board.
Don't know where to take him. I'm going to see that now on my. For some reason, on my algorithm, it's a lot of people rehoming dogs, which I'm all for. Sure. I want to see people rehoming Tamagotchis. The first night we took him home, he was very very nervous, and it's just a Tamagotchi in the back of like a dog crate wrapped up in a towel. So we had to feed him with a hand on a stick, and it's trying to press the button. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see.
We could make someone travelling up and down the country.
Yes,
collecting people's Nintendogs cards, and taking them to people who still use whatever console is on. I was going to say the Wii. It's not the Wii. The Nintendo DS. See, I'm current.
There you go. You wait. Handheld consoles are the future. We should just stop the record now. We should make this. Sorry, everybody. We're ending the pod early because we've had a stupid idea for a bit. There you go. That's
a new business venture.
Absolutely, it is. Rehoming Nintendogs. Fantastic. There you go. Well, I mean, in fairness, if there's one thing I have in my hands at the moment, it's free time.
Sure.
Because
you've just finished quite a sizable save of your own.
I have. It's over. It's done. Did you see the quality of that segue, by the way? My goodness gracious me. Pulled it back to the brink of something daft, teetering on the edge of nonsense. Then we're like, back on the road. I have finished a very long-term save, probably my longest term save ever in terms of content creation. if that's what you would call it. I don't know if I would, but
Yeah.
what's the story, form of glory? Story's over, baby.
The album's
all,
finished.
It's all finished. Album's over. Sad times, and I'm going to break up with myself and then reunite in about 20 odd years and make millions. That's the plan.
I love it.
As is my understanding of Oasis, the band.
Yeah.
It
It's
all,
basically that.
Yes, fundamentally it. Yeah, it all came to a head last week and finished on. I don't want to say damp squib because that feels like I'm doing the entire journey a disservice. But for listeners who might not, who have forgotten what was going on, if there are people that listen to the pod that might not make the streams, just a brief reminder of the purpose of the stream. It's called What's the Story, Form of Glory? And it was a bit of a journeyman around Europe trying to restore the reputations of formerly successful football clubs in whichever capacity that may be. The save wrapped up with me managing Real Madrid of all teams, those Spanish minnows, that club, that wildly unsuccessful club, Real Madrid. In the context of this save, it made perfect sense for two reasons. Firstly, because Barcelona in this universe, have become the Spanish football team. Like they have been the dominant force in Spain and in Europe for quite a few years. So kind of trying to break that streak was enticing.
Yeah.
And secondly, it was a little bit like the retirement home isn't the right phrase, but it was like I'd cultivated all of my favourite players, or a lot of my favourite players from clubs that I'd previously managed, had all at some point ended up at Real Madrid. And they were all there together at the same time. And the job was available. So I was like, I've got to take it because I'm going to reunite myself with a bunch of, previously, my previous favourite players from loads of different clubs across the save. And including our good friend Mansverk, or Ocean Mansverk, as he was affectionately named, because there always had to be one at every club. And he was scheduled to retire at the end of the season, or there was speculation when I first took over that this was going to be his last year in professional football. So he'd never won a major trophy. Looking at him now, I mean, goodness gracious me. I mean, he's played for some clubs. I had him managing Ajax, Napoli, then he went back to Ajax, and then he ended up at Real Madrid. But he'd never won a big one. So I was like, I'd like to win a Champions League, and I'd like to win it for him because this was his last hurrah. And we started brilliantly. In terms of we did one season only at Real Madrid, and it started absolutely fantastically. We didn't lose. Well, sorry, we lost one game of football in the year 2036.
Wow,
which was quite impressive. We lost to Chelsea in the opening game of the Champions League group stage. Then after that, started smashing teams. PSG got turned over. We had the likes of Marseille, a bit of a wobbly draw against Liverpool in the Champions League group stage. But, we also had teams like Dynamo Kiev and Bodo Glimt as well, who were both taken apart. I was feeling very confident at this point that this was a very, very good team. Had all my previous favourites, so just looking down the list now, we had the likes of Jorel Hatter, who I fell in love with at Ajax, my favourite centre-back, one of them of the entire save. He was there. I had a wonderful player called Vinnie Ferguson at Porto. He ended up leaving to go there, so there was my centre-back partnership straight away. I knew them. I had a very, very good left-back as well, who I'd had previously, it was Raphael Decker, who I'd done bits with at Borussia Dortmund, when I was trying to undo Bayern Munich. Obviously, the likes of Ocean Mansverk as well, former love of mine. Plus, I brought in a bunch of players that I'd previously signed at other clubs as well. Luka Toplivic, God bless him. Of course, had to bring in Luka Toplivic, who, just for context, in the course of this save, had a cumulative £230 million spent on him by managers over the save. I say managers, I was all of those managers. Yes, it was me. I did the Toplivic signings.
Yeah.
I took him to
so much money to spend on one person in a save.
But what's mad though, looking at, there was escalation because I signed
Sure.
him for San Etienne for £1.9 million.
Yeah.
And I was plucked him from the Slovenian First League for £1.9 million. Felt good about that. 3 years later, I signed him for Ajax for £65 million. So I was like, oh, inflation being what it
Yeah.
is, I'd like to justify that price by just saying the economy.
Yeah. Makes sense.
That's all that, yeah, of course. He held his value because I then bought him 6 years later at Dortmund for another £65 million.
Wow.
And then he wanted to go to Portugal, so well, I'll buy him because I'm managing Porto, £62 million this time.
Oh, nice.
And then a conservative 37 million to wrap it up at Real Madrid as well.
Wow.
He was consistently wonderful because he scored
Yeah.
goals, and when he wasn't scoring goals, he was assisting goals. So he did everything I wanted him to do, and I love him dearly. He joined me. I had a wonderful player, Christophe Rudeau, who I signed at. I signed him for Chelsea. Then I had him on loan at Ajax. He ended up at Madrid. He was fantastic. Like all these players, the stars were aligning. The Real Madrid players that I kept hold of were all exceptional. This is probably the strongest squad I have had in any of the clubs I have managed. Hence, one loss in the opening half of the season. Say 2036, we lost one game of football. And then January rolled around, and everyone forgot how to kick a ball.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's really, really difficult. I mean, we went from absolutely smashing it. We were, I think, 4 points clear at the top of the league at one point during that run. By the end of January, and technically the opening game of February as well, we'd gone from 4 points in the lead to 10 points behind Barcelona because we lost all of our league games. We won once in the Spanish Cup third round against a non-league team, and we only managed to beat them 1-0.
Wow.
We scraped a 3-1 win in the Spanish Super Cup semi-final, which went to extra time.
Jeez.
And then we lost the final on penalties to Barcelona. We lost to Getafe. We lost to Granada. We lost to Almeria in the league. We drew with Bilbao in the Champions. We just forgot football. And then we lost
It's
to
so brutal
Sporting
when that happens in
Gijón.
FM.
It's awful.
It's
There was
so
no
brutal.
there was no reason for it either. It was awful. And then at that point, it looked very much like the season was over. We scraped through the Champions League group stage thanks to a 1-1 draw with Braga, of all clubs, in the final fixture. Other results went our way, and we had to rely on Braga to score an own goal to equalise for us. It was... But at that point, I was quite unhappy,
I bet.
which was quite weird. I think it was friend of the podcast, friend of our streams, Rocket Dan, pointed out to me, sometimes football managers won't let you win a game unless you completely overhaul your tactical system. He was like, sometimes it's just the way it goes. And I went, I don't know if that's necessarily true, because I've got arguably top 3 players in the world in each position on the pitch. Like, there are very few players that are better than the ones that I have starting. What's going on? Maybe it's just morale has dropped. It's just poor. It's not even. It's just average performances across the board, and then we just concede stupid goals. In the end, I went and looked back through all the systems I'd used at previous clubs in the save, because my thing was new system for each team I manage.
Yeah, I respect that.
Went back to my Porto days. Went back to my kind of Porto system, which was like a very attacking, like 4-1-2-1-2. I like push the wing backs up very, very high. Raised the roof. For the audio listeners, I have accidentally raised the roof and am continuing to do so. Shifted back to the Porto system, and then after this absolutely dire run, so we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2 wins in 9 games. None of those were in the league. Just for context, none of those wins were in the league.
Yeah.
After we changed the system, what I'm going to do, a quick bit of counting here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Of the next 14 games, we won 13 and drew 1. So it felt very much like we were back. We got through. We took Leipzig apart in the Champions League round of 16. And very much like Stella, I felt like I had my groove back. I felt good. I felt good. We were smashing teams left, right, and centre. I was feeling very, very positive about the circumstances we found ourselves in. Champions League draw came through. Quarterfinals, Bayern Munich. Now, Bayern, as we know, I have history with from my time at Dortmund.
Of course.
Weren't quite the team that they were when I was in Germany. They were a dominant team 19 years in a row, but they dropped off a little bit of late, and I felt like Bayern were a team that were beatable, because technically, yeah, every team had to be, because the objective, of course, was Champions League.
Yeah. You got to try and win everything.
First leg, yeah, of course. First leg away from home, and I prefer that. I prefer away first, home second. Opening 10 minutes, we look like we're absolutely fantastic. Look like we're definitely going to be walking out of this game with a big old 3 points. And then my delightful midfield signing that joined just before I arrived at the club, signed from Sunderland, of all clubs, over the summer. Young French upstart Nicolas Terran. Oh, little Nicholas. Lovely little holding midfielder, centre-back, central midfield. Does everything very well, does Nicholas. One of those players, he could play from central defence all the way up to attacking midfield with a plot.
Wow.
Wonderful utility man. Attributes for days, physicals and mentals to die for. Decides to go in two-footed on Matthias Tell 10 minutes into the game, gets sent off, and we lose 2-0.
Wow.
Because weirdly enough, a possession-based team like Bayern Munich find it really easy to beat your press when you've got one less outfield player than they do. So, yeah, possession. Yeah, weird that. Possession-heavy team took me apart, beat me 2-0. I was quite downtrodden, quite downcast by that as a set of circumstances. Talked myself up, though. Big second leg. I thought all we need to do is win the second leg, 2-0, take it to extra time. We're laughing. Drew 2-2, got knocked out of the Champions League. Very, very upset by the whole situation.
For God's sake, FM.
It was, again, one of those games we had to grind it out, grind them down, really work for our goals. And then you're thinking, right, fantastic, we scored, it's on. And then equally, and just like almost instantly concede. Very, very frustrating. We were carrying a 2-1 lead into the final 10 minutes through everything forwards, as FM so frequently likes to do. You go ultra attacking, you push players up, you change the style of play. Not a single highlight shall occur until 2 minutes before the end of the game. And Tatenda Ngala, English international, because of course, because new gen names just hit me on the break. Finished 2-2 and out the Champions League we went. I was quite despondent at that point, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah.
It didn't feel fair. We won the Spanish Super Cup in the next fixture against somehow a second-tier Spanish club, Levante, who have just dropped off the face of the earth. Tier 2 Spanish football.
When that happens in FM.
Yeah. And then they're like, oh, do you want to play them in the final? Yes, I do, as it goes. Yeah. So we got to see Ocean Manswerk lift a trophy, which was something, but it wasn't...
That's nice.
Which was something. But flip side of that coin, Dan, as all these things were happening in the Champions League, Barcelona, who were very, very good at football, shall we not forget, had a case of the Real Madrid Januaries, because they suddenly started dropping points left, right, and bloody centre. So that 10-point lead they had at the top of the table, suddenly, their March, they dropped 6 points in the league in March.
Jeez.
And then they dropped another 4 in the next 2 games in April. And suddenly, the gap was closing and closing and closing. And with 3 games to go, we were 2 points behind Barcelona. Our final 2 games of the season were Barcelona, because of course it was, and then Getafe. All I had to do was go to the new camp, beat Barcelona, and then match their result in the final game of the season, turning round arguably one of the biggest points deficits anybody had seen in this league over the course of the save. We were the team in form. We were absolutely flying. Barcelona were wobbling. They were also out of Europe, so I was hoping, well, maybe they stay in the Champions League a little bit longer. They've got that European fatigue. But no, they were just being bad on their own. I felt quite blessed. All I had to do was go to the new camp, beat Barcelona to set up a very, very dramatic final day of the season. and we played absolutely abysmally. Barcelona beat us 1-0. I think we had about 3 shots the entire game, and that was the season over.
Oh, it's so
brutal
when that happens.
It was set up so beautifully. Like, if there's one thing we crave as Football Manager content creators, especially when you're doing it live, is narrative. You want the story, you want the drama, and it just laid itself out for us beautifully. Beating your rivals at their place, and then or just matching their result on the last day, regardless of their results, match their result on the last day of the season. And you get to win your first league title in 4 years. Feels watching your retiring club legend lift the trophy as well. Because, but I will say this for good old Ocean Mansverk, over the course of the save, like he had 2 stints at Ajax. Ironically, because I sold him the first time I won the league there. I sold him to Napoli, and then after I left, Ajax bought him back. Yeah. So he didn't get to win the league with me at Ajax. But I was like, this would be incredible. And then everyone just turned up, and then was like, don't know if I really.
Don't know if it really.
Don't know if I really want to today. For completely honest, I mean, I'm looking at the our average match ratings now. Like, you know, it's 6-5, 6-7, 6-7, 6-5, 6-6, 6-5. Just every. It was like it was the footballing equivalent of just a sigh. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Just, I have to.
Yeah.
I really have to. Yes, you do. It's all I'm asking of
you. That's what we're paying you for.
It's all, yeah.
And this is why Sports Interactive need to bring back the fines.
Exactly. Bring back the fining system, because I would have made if I could have fined them, if I had fined my worst performing players in that game a week's wages.
Get the calculator out, go on. How much would you have saved the club?
If I had fined my 4 worst, the 4 players that performed the worst in that game, if I'd fined them all a week's wages, I would have made the club £1.3 million.
Oh my god!
Because they're all on 400 grand a week, except for Ben Sesko's on like 450. Like, I could have just pocketed. Like, no, that's going in the Christmas party jar. That's where that's going.
Yeah,
like absolutely mad, completely bonkers. So, watch the story finished on a bit of a. I don't want to say damp squib, as I said earlier, because it doesn't really feel like I'm doing it justice. But it wasn't the fairy tale ending that I think I was craving. Because Real wasn't great. That was prefixed by a really turbulent year at Juventus as well, because we all know how that ended. My goodness gracious me. That was deeply upsetting. It just, was a bit pants.
But then that's I guess that's part of the that's part of the FM experience overall. I think we've all been there. We've all had seasons that have been like that, and like you say, there were moments, especially. I mean, regardless of the fact that you didn't come out on top with, you know, the league and the Champions League and whatnot. First of all, that's still a great story told in that last year. Because arguably, if you'd gone right, I'm doing one more season, and maybe I don't know, maybe I'm speaking out of turn. Maybe it does come back for 1 year, much later down the way, unless it is fully done. But you might feel like one more season with Real Madrid, and that's the season where you just comes back, absolutely smash it, win everything. You know, I would say that the end of What's the Story, Morning Glory is very similar to the end of the Ted Lasso TV series.
That's fair.
It's the journey that you've done the whole way. I mean, if you think about all the teams that you've been to on that, you've got the, Kashima Antlers, Saint-Etienne, Ajax, Chelsea, Wolfsburg, Dortmund, Porto, Juve, Real Madrid. You've had success at all of them. It's been an amazing journey throughout, and then it's just this last season, really, that's been the only one that's been like, oh, if only we'd done that. But you got to remember that all those other teams that you restored former glory to, like you think like Saint-Etienne, like they'd been relegated, they were in Ligue 2. They've been there for a while, I think, in real life now. So you brought them back up. You brought them back up to Ligue 1 football. That's an awesome achievement, Yeah. It's been a save with. I've really enjoyed watching that save. I've really enjoyed watching that save a lot. It's been a wicked journey to see go on. And there's been, we've had lots of fun just along the way. I mean, you've got the Ocean Man redeem that sort of gets hit every time. Every team has an Ocean Man, as it should.
Yeah, as it should, rightly so. It's football heritage.
Rightly so. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's just been a wicked journey overall.
it has been fun. It has been fun. I think as with a lot of things, I think I'm maybe not being as objective as I should about it. I think, but when it's your project, I think you're over analytical, aren't you? And lots of it were, after we as we finished the stream last week, I did a bit of we did the managerial timeline and just going back through all the really, really fun things that happened. And there were loads of fun things that happened. There were things to be genuinely proud of as well. Did my first Invincible season on stream with Porto, which was very, very exciting. I did one in Mad's database last year, I think, but you had Ronaldo, so it kind of, it just you have Ronaldo.
If you don't do it on those saves,
what
are you
doing? Are you really doing the saves?
Yeah.
So doing that was an absolute delight. And as you say, Saint Etienne, getting them back up and getting them back into Europe on the last day was lovely. I think it was. I said on the night, as I was looking at the managerial timeline, you could see where I think the trajectory of the save turned very, very sharply. And it was very, very early on, because it was the day that everybody convinced me to have a look at David De Gea when I was in Japan with Kashim Rantless. Because he's available. Have a look. I'm like, no, he's going to want 300 grand a week. He wants 25. I've got 25, and I've got a space for a non-Japanese national in my squad. Do I just sign David De Gea? We'll offer him a contract. We'll see. He's not going to. He's accepted the contract. Oh, has it? Oh, that's what. And that suddenly, I was like, oh, this is suddenly taking a turn. Because in my head, Kashima was going to take 3 or 4 seasons to build and develop and get them up to back to that level again. Because Japan is especially early saves. It's almost like a free for all. It's the dice throw. It's not even the roll. And this year's winners are Gamba Osaka, lads. They're gonna win the league this year. Who knew? Who knew? Yeah. Not me. Yeah. So it feels like a dice roll. So if you're clever about your signings and your development, then you might have the advantage 2 or 3 years in. Now I just signed one of the best goalkeepers in world football on a free. Yeah. And then just shockingly enough, you'll do quite well defensively. And that's what happened. But that point that it took a turn, and I was like, maybe I need to be a little bit less serious and just enjoy the because there's going to be nonsense.
Oh yeah,
and just lean into it and enjoy the silly, and that's what we did, and it was brilliant fun. That was a joy. Taking total rich ball to Ajax and trying to, that was, I should have played a sensible formation, but that was, again, Ajax was loads and loads of fun as well.
Yeah.
Bringing in, going to clubs and saving Manchester United rejects, We saved David De Gea. We saved Donny van der Beek. We saw there were loads. We're bringing in former United players that were getting a bit of stick off people and then just turning them into functioning footballers. I was like, this is loads of fun. And that's what it should have been. And that's what saves like this need to be. It's about having fun. And especially when you're doing it in front of an audience, doing it live. And there was a lot to be proud of. In hindsight, I feel like there were maybe a couple of clubs that deserved a little bit more.
Sure.
I think Wolfsburg, maybe.
Yeah.
I think because the Dortmund job, if the Dortmund job hadn't come up when I was at Wolfsburg, I think I would have stayed at Wolfsburg for longer.
Sure.
Because there was potential there. I'd signed a lot of fun young players, and I thought this they've got potential to develop, and we'll see where it goes. So Wolfsburg, maybe I wish I'd spent a little bit more time there. And Porto, despite the Invincible season, again, I've built a really, really fun team with Porto, and I just wish I'd seen where they'd gone or where they had the potential to go.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at them now as we speak. Now, bearing in mind, this was a team that were previously, they had an Invincible season 2 years previously. And I'm looking at them since I left. And the season after I left, they finished second, 5 points behind Benfica. Then this season, they finished fifth, 22 points behind Benfica.
Wow.
What have it? Julian Nagelsmann, who I quite like as a manager in real life, but this save has tarnished his reputation for me.
He's had a roster there.
He's had an absolute stinker, and there was no reason for him to have done. But again, he spent £200 million this summer and finished fifth.
Wow.
Julian.
Wow.
Okay, he bought in £265 million, but still, I stand by the fact that he should have accomplished significantly more.
Yeah, you've got to do better than that, Julian.
You've got to do better than that, Julian. Come on. I mean, the season before he spent 190. Okay, he brought in 190. He brought in 191, but still,
wow,
it's just it's not good enough, mate.
Yeah,
it's not good enough, Jules.
That's
so,
mad.
I really wish I'd had a proper crack at it with them. I think that would have been that. Those are the only two major regrets I have. But it has been loads of fun. As saves go, and I will always maintain that my favourite ever Football Manager save has been our network game.
Yeah,
without question, absolutely adored the network game, an absolute treat, and it was brilliant fun with Kev involved, and I think, and with Alice as well. But I think it reached new levels of fun once yourself and State got involved as well, which was absolute joy, start to finish.
Yeah.
But in terms of stuff that I've done on my own, this is probably the favourite of all the saves. I mean, we started it on release day, so that was, earlier. That was early November.
7 years ago, wasn't it?
So exactly, feels like it, doesn't it? Goodness gracious me! So that was November 23 through to now. That was good. But I say all good things must come to an end.
Sure.
But it was a good thing, and I'm very, very happy that I did it. And it's the first proper long-term journeyman save that I've done as well. Because prior to that, it's we did things like Scandi, Triple Crown, but you know where you're going, the order. So it kind of But with this, I mean, you did 30 years on the Med. This was a slightly more respectable, a conservative 16 seasons of this.
Still 16 years.
I didn't play a lot of them because I was job hunting for a significant portion of some of those years. My goodness gracious me.
Sure.
But it's still it's a long-term investment, and as you say, it's still there. It's not getting deleted. It is still very much there. And hey, you never know.
You never know.
You never know. But
you never know, man. Well, I was going to very much sort of like end of job interview. Sort of like you leaving the thing. I was gonna quiz you on a couple of things to do with the save, and you kind of already answered one. One that you wish you'd done more at was Wolfsburg. But like you say, when the Dortmund door opens, you walk through it because that's a hell of a club.
Got to walk through the Dortmund door,
and it's pretty much the only club in Germany that you probably could topple Bayern with quickly, so to speak. Yeah, like you could really like long out a save in Germany and with anyone and eventually get there. But yeah, it's the one that you're fastest to get to with someone. But I was gonna ask you, like, are there any teams along the save that you wish you'd manage? Because I know there was the thing, because there was the premise, obviously. Maybe remind the listeners the whole premise with Benfica as a thing. But are there any other nations that you wish you'd got to experience along the way that you didn't get the chance to, and after managing Real Madrid would feel a bit silly going to,
I don't necessarily. First, lovely question, by the way. Very, 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 very good. In terms of teams that I missed out on, Benfica, ironically, were the big one. So again, for context, for listeners of the pod who might not have seen the save, Benfica were the only club that turned me down across the duration of the save. Comparatively early on as well, Benfica turned me down. There is, of course, the wonderful story in real life of there is the curse that was put on the club. They will not win a European trophy for 100 years. I always want to say it's Bela Lugosi, but I think that's a completely different human being.
I have no idea who even did it.
Let's just say it's Bela Lugosi, and don't Google it. Don't fact check me on this.
Just trust
Anybody,
us.
please, just trust us. It's a name. He basically cursed the club on his way out, saying this club will not win a European trophy for 100 years. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if they did? Wouldn't that be something? So that was going to be the objective, was to get the Benfica job. And with Benfica, you felt very much like the league was a foregone conclusion. So the focus was always going to be Europe. There was a really, really cool series. The Crew. He did a...
Yes,
The Crew.
yes, yeah, The Crew, yeah.
Everyone knows The Crew. I always question the pronunciation when I say it out loud, but yeah, bless him. Lovely.
That's why I was confused. I was like, "What are you trying to say?" Is it just The Crew?
Do you mean Lelujo? Is that what you're trying to say? Do you think part of the Prem here? No, The Crew. He did a brilliant set with a club from Greece, and the objective in the long term became Champions League. But with a league system like Greece, if you become a good team, it becomes a one-team league. So he was letting his assistant do the league games, and he was just doing the European fixtures. And I thought that it could get to that point, because as long as you keep signing well and make the most of your youth signings when you're there, the league almost handles itself. And as the save has shown, it pretty much did, with the exception of my Porto time. It's been all Benfica. So missing out on that one was a bit of a shame, because again, it would have taken this. It would have taken the save in a different direction, because trying to turn that team into Champions League contenders was going to be a much longer term project, and I think it would have been a really fun one. But I think it's, with a game like FM, it's an infinite monkeys, infinite typewriter situation in that sense, because with a club like Benfica, you're always going to get the league money, and chances are you're going to get some decent regens come through the academy, or some new gens coming through, good youth players. Give yourself enough time and you will get the result that you want in the end. It is not unbelievable to think that Benfica had the capacity to challenge for a Champions League at some point over the course of. So it would have just been a waiting game. It would have been great, would have been a lovely payoff, but it would have been inevitable rather than improbable, I suppose. Is the best way I look at it.
I get that.
So, but it would have been fun. Don't get me wrong. Would have been good fun. In terms of other jobs or countries I feel like I missed out on, I don't really think there were. And I think that's more to do with the restrictions I put on myself. For example, I said at the start I was never going to do Scandinavia, because I'd done Scandinavia last year. And especially at the start, it still felt too fresh. So I was like, as much as I love the Scandis Triple Crown, I'm not going to go back and do it again, because I've done it.
Completed it, mate.
It's done. You completed it, mate. Easy peasy. So that was always out. I managed in most of the bigger European countries. I mean, we did England, Germany, Italy, Spain, France, and then obviously trips to, we did the Netherlands, Japan at the very beginning as well. I always had my hands on maybe some fun Belgian jobs that may have come up, but they never the right job never really came up at the right time.
The only other one I can think of, maybe Scotland. Maybe if there'd been like an Aberdeen job or something like that.
Yeah, Aberdeen was another one, but again, it never really came up. So, and the problem with doing a lot of it live is, and don't get me wrong, there was not a single instant where I was job hunting where I didn't have people hanging out with me streaming it, which is wonderful. That's perfect. It's what you want. But at the same time, it's like, can I really? How much sitting here pressing holiday for 2 months can I do before I start to get bored, let alone the people I want, who are hopefully going to engage with this are going to get. So it becomes difficult. You've got to create it because you're doing it live. You've got to. Whereas if it was like for a YouTube video, I'm saying it's a different story, isn't it? Because you've got time. So, yeah, I mean, maybe Belgium or Scotland would have been the two that would have been fun if the opportunity had arisen. But as it didn't really feel like I was missing out on too much, if that makes sense. South American football, the rule and the tier system and everything else is just nope. I'm
not
fine.
Worth it, man.
I'm fine. Thank you very much.
I did 2 seasons down there. It's not worth it, man.
It's just not worth it. It's not worth it. Again, MLS, nope. Rules.
Yeah.
I've tried MLS saves in the past, and it's fun. there's a difference between progression in a game and starting to understand things as you go on, as I've experienced with things like Dark Souls, which
Sure.
or Elden Ring, sorry.
Elden Ring.
Fine. But having to essentially read a really, really big instruction manual, which in a lot of ways plays like a choose your own adventure book, but they've rubbed all the numbers off the pages. And you're not allowed to keep your thumb on the last page you're at. It's like, right, turn to page 350. There's no page. And you go back to the page you're on, it's blank. And you go back to the page you're looking for, and it's just a photo of somebody going, ugh! Like, it's hot. And then you're also playing Columbus Crew tomorrow. No, I'm fine. Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm all right. So, again, North America, Mexico. Yeah, I feel like I most of the countries I wanted to go to, I went to. I mean, starting in Japan was always the one.
Sure.
As soon as they announced J League football, I was like, I'm there. I'm 100% there. But in the grand scheme of things, nothing major that I feel like I really missed out on, or clubs that I would have wanted to go to, I didn't get the chance to. I think it was more about the country, and then finding the right project in each one. And I was very lucky. Very, very lucky with the vast majority of the clubs that I managed to get. That there was some form of tangible form of glory to chase, which again, at face value, listening to somebody saying, I was trying to fix, formerly good football clubs and Real Madrid. No, it's Real Madrid, mate. What are you talking? But within the context of the save,
relative to the save,
there's always got to be that context in there. So overall, it was good fun.
Yeah,
it was really, really good fun.
It was a great save to watch. I mean, this might be a tough one to ask. Of the teams you managed, which ones do you actually think you brought to their former glory back to them?
Dortmund.
Yeah,
for sure. So, I mean, again, for context, Dortmund were what I took over at Dortmund. Again, they weren't performing particularly well in the league. So season one, again, I got quite lucky. Season one with a lot of clubs almost felt like a free hit because I was taking over either mid-season or, even comparatively early on. You pick up the reins from a manager who's lost their job and you're trying to steady the ship before you really have a crack at it. And with Dortmund, it was season one was they were just above the relegation zone in the Bundesliga when I took over. So season one, just steadying the ship and establishing the system and getting used to the players was great. Accidentally won a Champions League that season as well, so that kind of put a bit of a shine on it. So I'm not trying to win this competition, but I just seem to be in this competition and not getting knocked out of it, which was lovely. But then getting that getting that Bundesliga shield at the end of the second season there, stopping
back-to-back Champions Leagues with them as well.
Yes. Back-to-back Champions Leagues at Dortmund. So 2 in a row in Europe, and it wasn't even as much of the fact that it was a title win. I think what made it more special was the fact that it was stopping. Excuse me, getting emotional. No, I'm not gassy. It was stopping.
Same thing.
Bayern from doing 20 in a row.
Yeah.
Which was huge. That felt bigger because, there is you've got the rivalry. It's massive. It's one of the larger rivalries in Germany. I mean, I know there's a lot more regional rivalries in Germany than a lot of people think, but it's up there. It's up there. So stopping them from doing that felt there was the former glory. I was only there for one season. Chelsea as well. They're kind of one of the, I kind of forget that I was there a lot of the time because it was just one season. But did a treble. We did a League, FA Cup, and League Cup treble with Chelsea, which is in 1 year, which is bonkers. Again, wildly underperforming when I got there. So the foundations were there, but it was still having to take a team that hadn't been very good for 2 or 3 years and make them into something better. So that felt right. You could argue with Kashima as well, first title in 7 years at the first time of asking, with a 40-year-old Fabio Quagliarella leading the front line as well. That was cool.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, I think most of the clubs I turned up at, I mean, again, San Etienne, there was no trophy, but getting them out of Ligue 2 and then back into Europe inside 2 years, again, it's...
Yeah, hell of an achievement considering where they were when you took them over.
It felt... There weren't many that felt like real gimmies, if that makes sense. I mean, Ajax and Porto, a little bit, you know, Ajax... previously good. Their success was slightly more contextual because Ajax at this point again had gone a couple of years without an Eredivisie title, which by their standards is not ideal.
Sure.
So, you know, doing that with Ajax was pretty cool. And again with Porto as well. I mean, in the context of the save, it's been all Benfica. I think pretty much every, and I'm checking this now as we're talking because I feel like I'm correct, as I often do. As I often do. However, I'm pretty sure, yes, in the context of this save, oh no, they won, if you take mine out of the equation, they won one league title. So it was, everything else was Benfica. So again, by their standards, it was all about, again, the achievement was there for winning the league and doing it undefeated, which was amazing, but it also put that stop to that, you know, continuous run of dominance from Benfica. So that felt nice. But again, flip side of that coin, as I said, I could have probably stayed longer there. So, but it is what it is. You know,
and the fact that you had the, like you say, the unbeaten season, that's pretty remarkable as well, just as an FM achievement in itself. But the fact that it was also in Portugal, basically dethroning Benfica, or just putting them in their place a little bit, humbling them, sort of saying, just hold on a second, there's other teams here.
Yes.
No, I would say that. I mean, from a viewing standpoint, it's been an incredibly successful save. From what just from where I'm sitting, there might be little things along the way that you're a bit like, I wish I'd done maybe a bit more at that club. You know, I remember when you took over Juve, there was a bit of a, oh God, what have I done? Because they were like, by the way, we have no players. The first team is basically just youth players, and we need you to sell everyone because we have no cash. But in the grand scheme of things, solid save.
Again, and had it not been for the nonsense with the director of football offering a contract to one of my players and then essentially bankrupting the club, I probably would have stayed. I'm looking at it and I'm still angry about it. Bloody Gianluca Pantano. More than doubled his wage. My director of football, again, for context, my director of football offered a contract to one of my players without my consent or knowledge in his final week of his job. And then the day before the season ended, I got a notification saying my player, Gianluca Pantano, admittedly one of my star players, very, very good, young footballer, had gone from 60 grand a week to 135 grand a week. Just crippling the club financially because I'd spent a lot of time calculating all of my incoming free transfers, incoming wage compared to outgoing wage. It was pretty much to the penny. And I was like, next season, I will be just under my wage budget. I'll have no transfer budget, but I'll have a squad.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have a squad season 1, and we still somehow managed to finish 7th. But season 2, I was like, this is where that I had the chance. And then that happened, and I'm looking at Juventus now. They are £132,000 a week over their wage budget. It's that the club is in an absolute financial crisis, weirdly enough, and it was just doomed from the absolute start. And I looked at it's the only time that I've looked at something like that on Football Manager and gone, this is untenable. I can't. I physically cannot, because trying to stay and fix this, it's not fixable, because all I would be able to do would be sell all of my good first team players. I think my retention of transfer fees was 15%, which is even worse.
Yeah.
So I was like, there is no point in me staying here and just making myself miserable, because that's all I would accomplish there. Ironically, I'm looking at them this season, and They've made it to the Conference League final, which is absolutely bonkers. They finished ninth in Serie A. It really, feels weird. I'm just looking at all the free signings that I brought in. There's a few loans. They've not spent they've spent a small amount of money on loans, which were all done in January. Everything else has been free signings. Oh no, sorry. There was a 1.2 million pound spend on a young Mexican player that looked really, really good, which I pre-arranged. Aside from that, a couple of little loan deals, and they've only sold 1.9 million pounds worth of players as well. So the club's in an absolute mess financially. I don't know how it happened, but
I think it's Italy. Like that Serie A, it just happens all the time. I had it with Lecce on the Med. As soon as we got promoted, I was like, cool. We've got no money anyway. I think I had 500 grand a week to spend on wages. So I was like, all right, let's just scrape something together and see what we do. And halfway through the season, they just went, we've lost too much money. Your wage bill is halved. Mm-hmm. And he's just like,
what?
This isn't a way to run a league or a business, Italy. Can we change this in the game, please? It's not working.
This is not correct. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. I'm looking at all the free... It's that was a frustrating one, I think, for sure. Yeah. But, again, narrative at the end of the day. That's what it all comes down to in this context. Yeah. It's all a bit of narrative. So, I enjoyed it. I had a very brief talk about this on stream on Thursday night, actually. It's, in terms of FM content for me moving forwards, because obviously this is now over. Mm-hmm. In terms of streaming, with the exception of the fun things that we do on Monday nights and, some drafts and some community bits and pieces and all the other stuff that we've been doing, in terms of Football Manager content, I'm having a little sabbatical.
Yeah.
On the internet.
That's fair.
Actually, no, that's not completely true. So I'll still be streaming. I'm still doing streams, but I've got a big catalogue of other games to stream for a little bit. So I'm looking forward to just doing a little bit of that for a while, just because it'll be fun. Just be a nice time. Yeah, it should be a nice time. I am, on the other hand, here's an exciting exclusive, which nobody's going to be excited about at all. I'm doing the thing that I said I wouldn't do. I'm going to have a crack at making a couple of little YouTube videos. When I say YouTube videos, it is. That's exactly what it is. I say little. I mean, the first one, which I'm doing all the planning and storyboarding for at the moment, it's actually quite big.
Yeah.
A big YouTube video, which is going to be bonkers. So that's going to be my little behind the scenes, my little project. Because, back to our lovely friend Kev's, project and purpose.
Yes.
So it's all about that. So in between streaming other things, there'll be a bit of FM going on behind the scenes, but that'll be released in YouTube format on the internet of all places.
Look at you go.
I know. My logic being, I've now got too big for my boots because I've learned how to use new bloody recording software for the podcast. I can now fairly competently edit things together. So based on that, I feel like I tick all the boxes to be massive. So that's what you need to do, really, isn't it? That's all you need to do. So a bit of production value, which I'll get bored of. Or I'll record all the footage for it, I'll start editing it together, and then 5 minutes in I'll go, no, this isn't correct.
This is just too much footage. I can't work with all of this.
This is awful. Hey, all those people that are like, hey, I work for Lelujo and I've done editing for him. Do you work for free? In the DMs, like, hello.
Would you mind?
Here is 12 hours of footage. Bon appetit. I'm not going to give you a brief.
Send the bill to Lelujo. He's already we've spoken. He's happy to pay for it. It's fine.
He said put this on my tab. Pretty sure, didn't you, Kev? Hey, other Kev. Cheers, mate. Appreciate you.
Kev, yeah.
Other Kev. If you agree to the terms and conditions I've just laid out, say yes now. You cost me the quiz, Kev. You owe me. Yeah. Just because of my Manuel Neuer knowledge, you can't. That's backfired. That's hindered me rather than helping me progress in life, which I'm furious about. So yeah, that's going to be happening behind the scenes. No time scale on it because why would I?
When it's ready.
When it's ready. When I'm ready. There
Yeah.
you go. That's the move. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, that sounds great. Any idea what other games you're thinking of planning on doing? Have you got any? Which ones are the ones in the pipeline?
So, upcomings that I'll be playing on me Todd, Bioshock games, because I love them. And
Great.
they were free
Great choice.
through the wonderful people at Twitch Prime. I was like,
Nice.
you click on that little logo on your Twitch page, it goes, oh, you've got Prime, so you can have all these for free. I'm like, thank you very much, I will. Very kind of you, Jeffrey Bezos. Thank you kindly, yes. Take everything back. Take it all back, Jeff. So some Bioshocks. The one I'm really, really excited about is Thank Goodness You're Here, which a lot of people have said to me would be a very, very on-brand game for me to play. I know nothing about it. I have seen... The only thing I have seen is the opening 10 seconds of the trailer.
Sure.
And former podcast mentionee, I believe it's Matt Berry narrating it, 'cause it sounds very much like Matt Berry, but with a slightly northern voice. It's just a can, and it says peens, and it's like, it's a can. It's not quite peas. It's not quite beans. Peens. And I just stopped it and I went, yes, I am all in. I would take a bullet for this game if somebody asked me to.
Doesn't matter what the game's about, just the fact that they've gone with the joke of peens.
Peens. I'm in. I'm in. If my house burns down tonight, thank goodness your head gets out first. Then my wife, then my children, then probably me. But as long as the game gets out first, that's the important thing. So
PC
yeah,
out the
that'll
window.
yes. So that'll be lots of fun. So I'm looking forward to having a bit of a mess around with those.
Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
It's good to have a little break as well. I think as well at this point with like FM, I know there are people still making it, doing still doing things with it. I mean, there was a brief period post on the med where I was very sort of like, I'm over FM for a bit, so I did a bit of Satisfactory. Obviously, South Stakey and Callum, we do the Nuzlocke as well. It's just a bit of a breakwater, just because there's only so much of a game you can play, really.
Absolutely.
So totally valid that you're thinking, let's just do something different. This
is it, I think with the exception of one Resident Evil 2 stream I did because of stream goals after anniversary stream, which frightened me.
Yes.
No, I'm not built for it. I'm not.
No,
I finished playing one of my single player in my own time enjoyment games. I finished this week, and I was like, right, what can I replace it with in my rotation of games? Because I like to have something I can dip in and out of. I like to have something I have to concentrate on, and I like to have something I can just play for funsies every now and then.
Sure.
And EAFC, for all of its flaws, is my dip in and out of game, because I can just play a couple of games of football if I have an hour to spare. Elden Ring is my concentrator. And I was like, I need something else. I need the middle ground game. I need the middle ground funds again, because I was just at Cyberpunk, and that was nice. It took me, again, stopped halfway through and went back to it. Lovely, finished it, ever so good. It was Keanu Reeves the whole time. He was the ghost, I think. I think that's the payoff. I'm not sure.
What?
I know. And you have to it was like, we're getting a band back together. I'm like, Dogstar? Is that what we're doing now? Is that the game?
That's what the game is, yeah.
Is this Dogstar Guitar Hero? Because if it is, fine. Just call it what it is, man. Yeah. I need a middle ground game, and it keeps going. Oh well, you've got Resident Evil. I'm like, no, I haven't. Just because I've bought it and it's there, I don't want to play it. Ugh.
It's there. Go on, play.
Looking over at the TV now, like it's going to turn itself on, and just Mr. X is going to be there. Like,
just walking towards the camera, demanding you play the game.
Don't want to. I'm fine.
I'm like you. I'm not built to play those games.
No,
they're just too scary.
I'm not built for the spooks, and that's fine. I'm not a spooky man, so that's okay. So I need a nice middle of the road game, and like I say, it keeps saying, "Oh, go on, Resident Evil. You've got Resident Evil." But with the exception of that one stream, all I've ever streamed is FM. That's the only game I've ever played on the internet, and it's time to spread my wings and just see what happens. So we'll give that a little go. Go. Obviously, I'll do stuff at the back, and we'll still talk about Football Manager on the podcast, because
of course,
it'd be redundant if we didn't. It's called Football Manager Therapy, not games.
therapy.
Yeah. Games, the podcast, therapy. It doesn't work, does it? We have to rebrand.
What games have you played this week? Well, I played some games. How'd you feel about them? Well, all right. Perfect.
Brilliant. Actually, a lot easier to edit, so maybe that could be the move. Who knows? But no, I'm looking forward to it. So I'm looking forward to doing new things. And I'm looking forward to more Holsworthy Albion as well.
Yeah.
It'll be great. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
We're all going to have a good time. You're going to have a good time. I'm going to have a good time. By default, everybody's going to have a good time. And that's all we can really ask for.
And if they don't have a good time, and it's straight to the under 18s with them, and that's where they can stay.
Absolutely. Rot. That's what you
Rot.
Yeah. Back to that sixth form college that Dee went to. Back there. Jonah.
Yeah. Go on. Go and
Get
get
in the
a
college.
level.
Yeah. Get in the college.
Do it.
Go on.
Or a BTEC.
Exactly. Oh, you're looking forward to training. You've not got to worry about now. Parents' evening. That's what you need to worry about. Yeah.
And you got a 5.6 in your trailer last week. You imagine how cross I'm going to be when I talk to them about it.
Furious. Unbelievably angry. And rightly so. Rightly so.
Again, that's something else they should bring to the game. Parents' evening for the youth teams.
Yeah, parents' evening for the youth teams.
Average training rating across the season. It's not been very good for young Endrick. Got a 6.3 overall. Needs to do better. Mm-hmm. Plus, he keeps throwing rubbers at me, and it's really weird. Stop! Just write the stuff down.
Yes, look, he scored a hat-trick in the Classico last week, yes, but also he's not done his maths homework, so... yeah. What time is he staying up till at night? Do you have a cut-off time for technology in your house? Because maybe you should consider that. It's getting a bit silly now, isn't it? Good.
We were doing so well.
Good. We were doing so well. Before we descend any further, that very much feels to me like a podcast. I don't know how you feel about that as a set of circumstances.
I think it feels like a podcast.
It feels quite podcasty to me.
Yeah.
So we should call it a day. Should we end it there?
Go on then.
Go on then. Before we do wrap it up, Dee, if people would like to watch you maybe become part of the save in Holsworthy Albion, or watch you nuzlock in and pop in with Stakety Bakety and Callum, where can they find you doing all those wonderful things?
Well, if you want to come hang out and watch us climb up the English pyramid with a bunch of over-roided out teenagers, then you can do that so on twitch.tv/dboyplays. Obviously, a little bit of a plug to _steak_bake and Jabberoo. What about you, Rich? What do people want to come watch you, playing video games, various things that aren't FM? Would you kindly tell the people where they could find you?
I like what you did there. Twitch.tv/RichOwensFM. I'll be there. Games will be there. And hopefully you'll be there as well. Yeah. And if you're not, you can just stamp on me like a big daddy, and then I'll just reload the save as if it never happened. Because I want the Big Brass Balls achievement for not dying. So that's what I'm into. Big Brass Balls. Good.
And daddies.
The bigger the better. Bigger the better. Stamping on me.
It's getting weird again, man.
It's gone weird again. Yeah, but let's just let it ride. Let's just see. Yeah. Let's just see where this crazy train takes us. Lovely. Thank you very much, Dee, for your company this evening. It's been a bloody pleasure, mate.
It's been great.
Thank you, and also thank you, the audience, for listening, for watching. However you're consuming this podcast, massively appreciate you. Thank you very much. If you are watching this on YouTube, press the little thumbs up button. Go on. Press it right now. I'll wait. Have you done it? I'll check. I'll check to make sure that you have. Press the subscribe as well. Do a little subscribe. Do that. Share it with a friend. Get on the bus with some old-fashioned cable headphones, like the old iPhone ones that split into two things. Sit down next to somebody, pop one in somebody's ear, press play, and stare at them to gauge their reaction, see if they laugh in all the right places as well. Do that. And then if they ask you why you're doing that, don't say a word, just get off the bus.
Just keep it to yourself. I'd really like the comments section as well, if people could leave some comments on some game recommendations for Rich.
Oh, yes. What games would you like to watch? What games would you like to watch me play?
No Resident Evils.
No Resident Evils. If anybody says Outlast, no. Just gonna put that out there now. No,
Yeah.
I don't want to. I just don't want to, like at all. No,
Doesn't sound like fun on
doesn't
any
sound like
level.
a good time for anybody at all ever. Game suggestions. What a lovely idea, lovely suggestion. Thank you very much. Right, that's it from us then, everybody. Thank you ever so much for hanging out with us. We appreciate you, and we will see you on the next episode of Football Manager Therapy. Take care. Love you lots. Bye bye.